Assalamualaikum dear students. Today we will be discussing about morphology of flowering plants. It's a combination of two words. Morphos means form, structure, and lagos means study. That is the study. So we can define it as study of form, structure, and relative position of various body parts of a living organism, or simply we can define it as study of external features of a living organism. That is morphology. In a plant, we have shoot system, and रूट सिस्टम. जमीन के ऊपर जो हिस्सा होता है दैट फॉर्म शूट सिस्टम. इट इंक्लूड स्टेम, ब्रांचेस होते हैं इसमें, फ्लावर्स, सीड्स, फ्रूट्स एटसेट्रा. और जो रूट सिस्टम होता है इट इंक्लूड्स रूट एंड रूट हेयर्स. Now today we will be discussing in detail about morphology of root. Morphology of root. That is, we will be discussing about external features of a root. What is a root? Root can be defined as non-green and underground portion of a plant. Now this root has some features, or we can say properties. Number first property of a root is that it is without nodes and internodes. It is a feature of a stem, and that is what it makes, or what differentiates it from stem, that it lacks nodes and internodes. Number second property which a root shows is that it is non-green. It's a non-green portion of a plant, but there are exceptions in this case, as exceptions are there, as we see in photosynthetic roots. Photosynthetic roots, we call them as assimilated roots also. Here what we see is that they are green in color and perform photosynthesis. That's an exception there, but exception को छोड़ के जो normally root होते हैं that they are non-green. Similarly, a third property of roots is that they form descending portion of a plant. That's why they show negative phototropism and positive geotropism. They are not attracted towards light, they move away from light and they move towards soil. However, there are exceptions in this case. As we see in respiratory roots, exceptions are there. Exceptions in here in this case are respiratory roots. Respiratory roots. These roots are also called as nematophores. So here you will remember that there are exceptions in this case. Respiratory roots or nematophores. These roots help the plant in gaseous exchange. Gaseous exchange, and these roots are found in mangrove plants. Mangroves. What are mangroves? These are the plants found in marshy areas. So we can take the example of Rhizophora there. In mangroves, some of the roots come out of the ground. In mangroves, some of the roots come out of the ground. They come out of the ground to perform the gaseous exchange and are termed as respiratory roots. The surface of these respiratory roots bears or possesses minute pores which are called as nematothodes. That means there are small pores, these are called as nematothodes. So you have to remember that these roots possess minute pores which are called as nematothodes, for which gaseous exchange takes place. One more character which is found in roots is that they lack buds. They lack buds. Exceptions are there. Normally roots do not have buds, but reproductive roots have. Reproductive roots have. Reproductive roots have buds. These roots participate in the vegetative propagation. That's why they are called as reproductive roots, and such roots possess buds. These buds are termed as adventitious buds. So reproductive roots have adventitious buds. We have a dahlia plant, we have sweet potato. In these cases we see that these possess adventitious buds which help them in reproduction. One more feature of the roots is that they have a root cap. They have root cap. What is root cap? It's a group of cells. It's a group of cells which are parenchymatous and they cover apical meristem. They cover root apical meristem. They cover root apical meristem. So root cap is a group of parenchymatous cells which are found at the tip of the root and cover the root apical meristem. And due to this root cap, root apical meristem is subterminal. That is, root cap has occupied terminal position. Functions of this root cap. Root cap is believed to provide, number first, protection to ram. That means provides protection to root apical meristem. Number second, its cells produce a waxy secretion. We call it as mucilage. And this mucilage helps the root in easy penetration into the soil, through the soil. Number third function of the root cap is that it helps in the perception of gravity. It helps in the perception of gravity. It was about the root cap and its functions. Now there are two concepts. Number first is statolith theory. And number second is Killador-Denny theory. Statolith theory says that a root cap possesses some special cells called statocytes. That is, it has some special cells which are called as statocytes. And these statocytes have statoreceptors. These statocytes have statoreceptors. Statoreceptors are sensitive to gravity. They are sensitive to gravity. It is one of the concepts. Second concept, that is Killador theory. This theory gives stress on the role of auxins in autotropism and geotropism. That is, here in this theory there is role of auxins. According to this theory, it says that the site of synthesis of auxin is SAM. Site for the synthesis of auxins is SAM. that is shoot apical meristem, and these organelles later on get accumulated. They get accumulated in ram. That is root apical meristem. And when this oxygen accumulation, when this oxygen is accumulate in the ram, its net weight increases and hence moves towards the center of the earth. It is a concept given by this theory, and plants can be hydrophytes, there can be epiphytic roots, there can be parasitic roots, and there can be mycorrhizal roots, where we see that this root cap is absent. So again we have exceptions in hydrophytes, in epiphytic roots, in parasitic roots, in mycorrhizal roots. This root cap is totally absent. So we see that in case of hydrophytes, these are the plants growing in water, as we see in case of lotus and lily. There is a lack of root cap. Instead of root cap in hydrophytes, they possess root pocket. Root caps are regenerable as a group of cells, while as root pockets are non-regenerable. Root cap is regenerated by some special cells of ram termed as caliprogens, while as in case of epiphytic roots, a category of plants which are called as epiphytes. They are the plants growing over other plants, and they are also known as space parasites, epiphytes, epiphytic roots. Epiphytes, a category of plants which possess these roots. They grow on other plants for space, and that is why they are called as space parasites. They grow on other plants to receive sunlight. Also we have another category of roots, these which are called as parasitic roots. These are also called as hastoria, or we can say sucking roots. Parasitic roots, we can say sucking roots. As the name plants, these are some plants which are parasitic in nature and they obtain their food from other plants. Parasitic roots are present in parasitic plants and help in the absorption of food from the host plant. As we can see these roots in Cuscuta and Rafflesia. Then we have one more category of roots. These are mycorrhizal roots. One more category of roots, they are mycorrhizal roots. Mycorrhiza is a fungi that gets associated with roots of large trees. It can be symbiosis, it can be mutualism. Here fungi enhance the water absorbing fungi enhance, or we can say increase the water absorbing capacity of roots. The fungi which are in association with these here increase the water absorbing capacity of roots, while in turn roots provide food and shelter to the fungi. That is why these are called as mycorrhizal roots. These roots can be seen in pines. Example, pinus, where we see these mycorrhizal roots. Here also in mycorrhizal roots, root cap is absent. Here in this case, root cap is absent. So it was all about the properties and of these roots and kinds of roots and the kinds of roots where we see that this root cap is absent. Inshallah, we will continue further in next lecture.